Alright guys, welcome to my new video. We're reading Rocket to Insanity, Fall of the Apple Family, and the other one, the Dawn of a Dying Pegasus? Oh well, let's just continue this. Alright. The land of Equestria was utterly... Alright, blah. I'll skip the part. Chapter 1, Grieving. The land of Equestria was utterly devastated by the sudden loss of its #1 party pony, Pinkie Pie. Her laughter, her smile, and her lovable personality were just gone, just like that. An empty void that could never be filled. The very notion of that any pony could take the life of such a loving and happy pony was sickening for everybody. Down a little bit. Right. Her funeral wasn't a traditional send-off. Everyone was dressed in bright clothes. The rooms were a forest of brightly colored balloons bouncing off the ceiling, and the band played mostly lively jazz music to match. It wasn't subtle, or however you want to say that. It didn't look anything like a funeral, but it was what Pinkie would have wanted. When it was time to bury Pinkie Pie, her friends were stood by the large yet colorful coffin. Twilight was stood next to Spike. Both were crying into each other's shoulders. Applejack was staring into the coffin, barely able to believe the tragedy that had befallen her pink friend. Fluttershy stood, her mind in a devastating mix of sadness and anger, freely letting her tears flow down her face. Rarity was resting her head on the coffin, openly mourning, tears soaking up her mascara and dripping onto her coat. And there stood at the far end of the coffin, looking at Pinkie Pie's face, was the Pegasus who did it. Rainbow Dash! However, no pony had found out who killed Pinkie Pie. How? Oh well. With no evidence at the scene leading to any pony, it was almost impossible to pinpoint a culprit. I don't know. The word murder hadn't been mentioned in Equestria for hundreds of years. No pony was prepared for such a cold-blooded attack due to Equestria's peaceful nature and the pain that shook the hearts of every pony in the country. Wow. Just wow. Oh well. Where was I? Applejack walked towards the coffin and placed her hooves down on it. The image of her unusually happy friend soul's life was completely broke here for me. Oh yeah, I am gonna mention, I was gonna have this on Xbox Live, but only one person wanted to join. Yeah, and I usually, if I'm gonna have a group reaction, I'm gonna have 3 or more. That's just my standards. It's me. I'm sorry. Alright, back to the story. Causing tears to stream down her face, Applejack put her head in her hooves and sobbed out loud. The truth of what had happened had finally sunk in. Twilight slowly walked away from Spike and up towards Applejack. Oh yeah, I'm also going to mention, I know, well, just read the story, but I'm also going to mention, I haven't seen any read alouds on this and the next one. So yeah, this will probably get me some viewers. Back to the story. She's gone. Applejack croaked, lifting her head from her hooves and looking at Twilight, tears still flowing from her eyes. I can't believe she's gone. I can't believe she's gone. Yes, we get it. Twilight rested a hoof on Applejack's shoulders and brought her head onto her chest, trying her best to comfort the distressed pony. Rainbow Dash could feel the walls closing in on her. A drop of sweat fell off her brow and landed on her hook, making her jump. All she could feel was the panic she experienced on that fateful day, the day she killed her best friend. Then the voices started. "They're watching you." Rainbow Dash jolted back. Her eyes widened as her pupils dilated. She could feel her whole body shiver as the pain crept slowly back into her already fragile mind. "Look, you can do it. You can do it, you know. You can kill them all." That's just me, my voice of blurred voices that she's hearing, and that's gonna be her Rainbow Dash's voice. "Shut up." Rainbow Dash tried to keep her voice low, not knowing how the other ponies would react if they heard the blue Pegasus talking to herself. Rainbow Dash began to twitch, her legs looking for somewhere to run. "Kill them, or they'll kill you." Shut up," Rainbow Dash said in both anger and fear. A few ponies glanced over their shoulders to look, but soon carried on with their conversations. Their voices just kept screaming, laughing, and mocking. They didn't stop, and neither did the guilt that consumed the grief. Rainbow Dash was starting to feel lightheaded. She could feel anger and unadulterated hate fill the blood that was coursing through her veins. How far am I? Wow, 6 minutes? Holy cow. Sorry, I thought I heard somebody coming up. Oh well, back to the story. What was that? Hate, blood, veins. Okay, there we go. "Kill them." Blah. Try again. "Kill them. Kill them. Kill them all." Rainbow Dash couldn't take it anymore. No. Rainbow Dash couldn't take it. Not now. She started to beat her head with her hook. The voices didn't stop. They just kept shouting, screaming, and even laughing at the bruises from her previous endures were pounded as she tried desperately to force the sick monster out of her mind. She continued to hit herself over the head, breathing heavily until she finally collapsed onto the floor, exhausted. There was dead silence. As she started to regain consciousness, a dull ringing started to pinch her ears. The voices continued to swirl around in her mind. She started to cry tears of despair as she once again found herself slipping away into the darkness. Just then, she sees an orange blur walking towards her. Applejack. I betcha it's Applejack. "Rainbow?" said the distorted voice. Rainbow could only just tell it was Applejack. Could only just tell that it was Applejack. Oh well. Her vision cleared as she looked at the blooming green eyes staring at her. Highlighted with fresh tears, Rainbow Dash shook her head, trying to regain her composure before slowly standing up. Rainbow just can't speak today. Rainbow Dash looked around. Nobody else was watching. She sighed in relief. The last thing she needed now was to make a scene. Yeah, beating your fist against your head isn't making a scene. I guess that no one watches, I guess. Oh, you okay, honey? Rainbow Dash just looked around. No, I'm not going to give Applejack a country voice. Alright? Just throwing that out there. No pony else was watching. Sighed in relief. The last thing she needed now. Oh, blah, I've already read that. You're hurt. Are you okay? Applejack said in her voice brimming with concern. It wasn't always odd to see Rainbow Dash with a few cuts and bruises, being the daredevil she was, but this time was different. Applejack had never seen Rainbow Dash this roughed up outside of a hospital. Oh yeah, that episode. I guess. I'm fine. Just leave me alone. Oh, bleh. I'm fine, Rainbow Dash mothered. I cannot speak to that, can I? I'm fine, Rainbow Dash muttered. Just leave me alone. She could only stare at the floor, unable to look at her friend in the eyes after the atrocity she had committed. Suddenly, she felt their voices start to sweep back into her mind, trying to manipulate her into painting the one she loved further. Wow. Oh well. Oh no. Oh no! Rainbow Dash began to panic. She could feel her muscles burning under her skin. Suddenly, she felt a strange sensation and looked up to see Applejack grabbing her in a tight embrace. Rainbow Dash gasped as she felt another pony's warmth for the first time in weeks. But she was scared, not knowing what the voices in her head were going to make her do. Just then, she knows. She knows! The voice barked at her like a wild dog. Rainbow Dash threw the Earth Pony off and began to look around the room for somewhere to ride. The loud thump that echoed through the room caught everyone's attention. Rainbow Dash was now frantically trying to find a way out of the mess she could create. Feeling the gaze of every pony in the room cut into her like daggers, she knew it was only a matter of seconds before her inner demons forced her to do something she'd regret again. She let out an ear-shattering shriek before running out of the reception, leaving Applejack on the floor by herself. What did I do? She sniffed. Was it something I said? Before she could run after Applejack. Wow. Could somebody stop me, please? Please. Before she could run after Rainbow Dash, the room fell silent. Applejack looked up to see the Princess of Celestia. Princess of Celestia. Before she could, Princess of Equestria had entered the reception area. Despite what had happened, Princess Celestia still stood proud as she looked out across the room. Ponies of Equestria, that's what she's saying. Ponies of Equestria, we are gathered here today to pay our respects to our beloved Pinkie Pie, our element of laughter. She was always a man who could brighten the darkest of our days. She could bring happiness into our hearts, and she could always put every pony else first. The princess was beginning to crack. No pony had ever seen her this upset. A tear rolled down her cheek, landing on the floor with an audible splash, sending a chill down every pony's spine. The princess frowned and then spoke with a stern tone. Hear me when I say that I will never tire till this heartless killer is brought to justice, till Pinkie Pie can rest in peace, till the land of Equestria can live in harmony once again. Princess Celestia gently wiped the itching tear from her cheek before turning back to her audience, speaking once again with a delicate and soft voice. I thank you, every pony, for attending this ceremony, but I'm afraid I must go. Thank you. End of chapter 1. Wow. So far? Kind of good. Yeah. Oh, what time am I at? 14:37. Don't know if I should split it up into parts for each chapter, but how many chapters are there? 11. little bit more interesting at that point. Give me a second. Yeah. Alright. Head split up into each part. Each individual part. Tails. You're going for 20 minutes. Yep, you're going for 20 minutes. Alright. Oh my feet. How many? Ah! Elbow. Got 5 more minutes. Go. Chapter 2. A Friend in Need. So far it's okay, I guess. Raymond staggered through the muddy depths of the ever-free forest. Her reins were numb, her eyes were sore with tears, and her mind was... oh, sorry about that. Her mind was... her eyes were sore with tears, and her mane was matted to her head with sweat. She stopped at the next lake she found, slowly diving and landing on the muddy ground. She rocked from side to side, desperately trying to ignore the merciless screaming and infesting her. She started breaking down into tears, unable to fight against the evil barrage attacking her mind. Hiccups started to engulf her already sore throat, causing an explosion of pain with each one. She had reached her limit. She couldn't take it anymore. They know. They all know. Please. Please. Just go away. Kill. No. Kill. No. Kill them. No. Kill them now. She knew no pony could hear her, so she screamed as loud and hard as her lungs would allow her, trying to relieve all the pain that had built up inside her over the past few hours. Her screams echoed through the hollow trees and around her, complementing the sheer volume of the strangled cry. She screamed for as long as she could, before she could no longer stand the excruciating pain that engulfed her throat. She took a deep breath and collapsed onto the floor, her legs unable to cope with the pain circulating through her body. Lying on her side, barely conscious, she looked into her reflection in the water, a fragile blue peg staring back at her. It was still her. That was at least one glimmer of hope the poor Pegasus had. But for how long? She stared at herself with barely enough energy to breathe. Just then, for a split second, she saw an object in the reflection of the water. Linda shrieked as she saw the gruesome image of Applejack stood over her, equipped with a large bloody knife, with an insane grin spread across her face. Rainbow Dash recognized the grin. It was the grin she wore when she broke down and murdered Pinkie Pie. Rainbow Dash quickly darted her eyes across the forest, but saw no pony elsewhere, and slowly she looked back into the water. At first there was nothing there, but then she stared into the dirty water. Some pony began to form in front of her. No, not some pony. She knew who it was. It was herself staring back at her with a mad smile. In the otherworldly blackness booming from within her eyes, Rainbow Dash recorded the same fear grasping her head. Heart. Hello? Boo! Rainbow Dash summoned what energy she had left to pull herself away from the river, before crawling towards the nearest tree and cowering in a muddy puddle, covering her eyes with her hooves. No! No! Please, go away! I did what you said last time. Just go away. Come again? The familiar voice sent a shiver down her spine. Rainbow looked up, her eyes glazed with tears to see Applejack looking at her, her face contorted in a mixture of confusion and sadness. Rainbow could barely speak without the stinging pain in her throat cutting her off. Nothing, nothing. Rainbow Dash wheezed. She tried to compose herself, but was unable to stop looking back at the lake behind her. Applejack walked over to her. Rainbow was paralyzed with fear, not knowing what her sick mind was going to make her do. She closed her eyes as tight as she could, desperately trying to flush out the relentless voices screaming at her from within her already fragile mind. No, don't. Applejack pulled Rainbow Dash to her and wrapped her arms around the blue pages. Applejack then placed her right hoof on her head, gently stroking her colorful yet growing mane. "It's okay, sugar," Applejack sighed. Tears still were flowing from her eyes. "It's okay to cry." Rainbow felt calm. The voices ceased at the first time, for the first time in months. She couldn't believe it. She could finally think with a clear mind, without the fear of the voices that usually plagued her thoughts. Overcome with joy, she wrapped her arms around Applejack and squeezed her tight. "Hey, it's alright. I'm sorry," Rainbow Dash sobbed. "I'm so sorry." Applejack cradled Rainbow Dash's head in her arms, holding it firmly as she looked into her pained magenta eyes. "Now you listen, Rainbow," Applejack said with a stern voice. You have absolutely nothing to be sorry for. It was some sick pony who took her life, not you. You remember that." Rainbow could bear to look into the Earth pony's eyes. "Yeah, she didn't do it." I'll finish this chapter. Alright. The horrific combination of fear, anger, and unbearable guilt almost made Rainbow scream right in her face. Where was I? I checked to see what time it was now. Where was I? Ah, there it is. If only she knew. What would it do to her if she realized that her best friend was a heartless killer, that she is trying to comfort the pony who took Pinky to life? But you don't know. But she didn't know. Rainbow just stared, grinding her teeth, trying to savor every last second of the temporary peace she was experiencing. There, Rainbow. Applejack patted her head gently. "It's okay. I'll always be here for you. You hear me? I know how much Pinky meant to you. Darn it, she was my best friend too, and I'll be darned if I'm going to lose another one. Lose. It's spelled wrong. Oh well. I'm not OCD about that. Or, what's it called whenever you have to have everything perfect? Not perfectionist, but everything has to be spelled correctly. I don't know. OCD or something? I don't know. Sorry. Wait, but I'm sorry. Rainbow Dash smiled. It had been so long since she last did that. She had almost forgotten how to. Applejack smiled back. "Say sorry one more time, and I'm gonna smack you." Oh God! Wow. They both quietly laughed before and slowly leaning into each other, then remained in a long embrace as the night slowly passed on. Okay. It's getting good. Good storyline. The final struggle. Alright. Part 2.